Welcome to Hunters and Unicorns, the 2020 Mastery Mission. 20 topics, 20 guests for 20 minutes. We're here to unlock the tribal wisdom from the legends of tech sales to help you get one step closer to mastery. I'm Simon Koutis and I'm joined by my co-host Ollie Kune.
Welcome to the show, everyone.
And we are absolutely delighted to welcome Ryan Precious. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Simon. Thanks, Ollie.
Welcome to the show, Ryan. Great to have you on here.
So in the way of an introduction, Ryan, you're currently the VP of Worldwide Sales at an amazing company, Rockset, where you're currently leading the entire go-to-market that covers pre-sales, biz development, and kind of sales ops functions. But actually what's really interesting is that you've obviously been indoctrinated within the wonderful playbook community and really established your own reputation within this world. And just kind of going back to, historically, some things that people should know about Ryan is that he was formerly the captain of the basketball team, never missed a day of work in your entire life, and the best achievement in your entire life is your wife and family. So thank you so much for joining us today, Ryan. We're really, really excited to be talking with you today.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks, Simon.
So I suppose in the way of an introduction to your topic, today you're going to be talking about a topic which is so close to our world. You're going to be talking a little bit about the whole kind of interview process. But just introduce your topic for us, Ryan. That would be great.
Yeah, I think, none of us would probably even be here today if we didn't have an interview at some time. And, it's cliche to say, but every day is an interview. But there's absolutely, a process to that and breaking it down and how you can articulate yourself and the research, it takes to go in there and the preparation and execution. And, how you do anything is how you do everything. And so although an interview is kind of a microcosm of maybe the actual role, it's such an opportunity to not just sell yourself, present the value you can bring to an org, and there's a lot of preparation that goes into it. So, interviewing and recruiting is a topic that's near and dear to me, and I know probably a lot of other sales leaders, so looking forward to getting into it.
Definitely. And maybe you can give us kind of a bit more of an insight into when this is done well, what results you can see.
Yeah, I think, when that interview process is kind of nailed, that just not only sets you up for getting that job and getting that role, you're entering a company with momentum already. I think even just that interview process, if you present yourself with a strong interview, that can just accelerate even that entire process throughout a company. I think it could put you in a better position potentially for, coming at the high end of a compensation or whatever's even, required, and making sure you're getting set up in that company with the right territory, the right mentorship. So it's almost just that doing the job before you even start, but just from that first interview, that's just something you can nail. You're almost getting a running start into the role as an AE.
Yeah. Other than the obvious, which is that you don't get the job. But what happens if you don't prepare, and what happens if, I suppose it doesn't go well?
That's just a reflection of, how you just probably operate your business. If you're not showing prepared up to an interview where you're trying to sell yourself, how are you going to show up to an account where you know little about their business? You can talk probably a lot about yourself. Hopefully you're doing the right research on the hiring manager you're meeting with, their background. Hopefully you're looking into the company as well too, and doing that level of research. And we can get into that in a bit. But if you're not doing your own research on your own performance, the company, the employer, how do you expect to represent that firm going to a customer meeting if you're not even trying to prepare to your own interview?
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose there's an expectation within the playbook community because you've got a very, very unique way of actually interviewing because you are looking for very specific things. And I know that there's a lot of desire for people from outside the community, but also people that are within the community to really understand, well, what is it that you're really looking for? What are you really looking for? But I suppose there is an expectation that the preparation is done. And I think that's a really kind of good starting point, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you're a candidate, an AE, meeting with your hiring manager, for the first time. What are you going to do to make that best impression, for yourself? I think it's always wise to look to set an agenda and just reach out and have a touch point, probably 24 hours before that first interview, just the excitement around speaking a manager, to that hiring manager, maybe a couple bullet points of things that you would like to understand further. And so I think that just sets, an agenda. It shows that there's interest, you're thinking about this, and there's assertiveness as well too. And maybe you can help shape and control, that conversation in that meeting. I think prior to actually, showing up, how much research can you actually do on this company? What's the company size? If you're looking at a pre-IPO company, who are their VCs? What's their backing? If it's a publicly traded company, what does their last earnings report look like? Who's the competition? What's the addressable market? I think if you feel like you're doing that research and you understand their business, you have an idea maybe to ask some areas where there could be gaps in the bit, like where do you have questions maybe around or concerns if you truly understand their business. And also doing your research on the hiring manager. What would they typically be looking for? What's their background? What companies have they been at? Why did they decide to make these decisions? I think versus coming in with just your canned interview questions, you can be a lot more specific and relevant to the individual and to the company.
Sure. I suppose this isn't just preparation for the sake of preparation. I think the advice that you've given, as we mentioned, that the hiring managers within this community are very, very specific and actually looking for specific attributes. So what do you think what do you think that preparation demonstrates, and why is that an important part?
Yeah, you're right. There's, every hiring manager has their own criteria. I think, there's 4 real pillars, at least, I'll typically focus on. One is on intelligence, and that's both, IQ and EQ. I think, in tech sales and in SaaS, we're selling to a technical audience. Do not expect you to be a sales engineer, but you got to be at least able to hold your own in those conversations. And then so, just based on your own research, looking at case studies, how well can you kind of pick up this technology? Of course, you're going to have onboarding, training, and enablement, but a lot of it is, how much of a self-starter are you? And then at the same time, EQ, we're in sales, people still buy from people. How can you articulate kind of that art of selling as well too, and how you present yourself? Your overall character, I think is extremely important. That one is, it's hard to quantify that quite as much as if you look at numbers and results, and we're very metrics driven in sales, but, team player, do you have a background where you've been involved in, team sports or a band or just something outside of work as well too. We're always looking for those special traits and characters. And I think, the best indicator of future performance is past performance. So what involvement or activities have you been there? We're always looking to hire special people. We're building a next great unicorn here at Rockset. And if you haven't really had a special moment, up until this point, what's really going to change at Rockset? So I think it's very important to look at that past behavior and make sure you're highlighting, other areas you've been successful or made an impact, even just outside of work. Your drive. I mean, this is not an easy job we signed up for. It's a lot of hours, but we want people that have endurance and pace and that are driven. How much can you just show up? And I think the interview process and your preparation is a nice indicator of that. Because if you took time, to prep for an interview where maybe not even getting paid, these are the type of people we want that's going to hit their number 150%, 200%, go above and beyond and hit their accelerators. So, how can you kind of test that drive, throughout the interview process. I think that's where important, where you send that prep email and send an agenda, do a post interview recap. And you really want to show that. And lastly, just being coachable. I think, we want to hire people that are willing to come in and learn a sales process, learn value sell, be flexible, and, come in. And of course, we welcome ideas and the spirit of entrepreneurship, but just come in and being open and coachable. So, there's ways you can test that through the interview process and, see if they take feedback and how they prep for the next meeting, and little coaching moments throughout there. So, to answer your question, Simon, it's character, it's intelligence, it's drive, and it's being coachable.
In terms of when you're judging or you're analyzing, let's not use the word judging, but as a manager, you're sat across someone. What are you thinking? Are you thinking, what's the time for ramp for this person? Are you thinking, what is it that's going through your mind as to whether or not this is someone for your organization or not?
I think you try and think, at least from a manager's point of view, almost for reasons not to hire this person versus you're talking yourself into, hey, why I should hire this person. And you're right. Is this someone who can come in and have a short ramp time and make an impact right away? Can they elevate the performance of others too? When you're bringing in an A player, that's going to raise the game. When you bring in a top player, that's going to attract other talent out in the market as well too. So is this someone who can come in and they have a proven track record, not necessarily in the specific vertical or SaaS solution we're selling, but just, a track record of high performance, being coachable, being driven, because you put in that more hours, it's compound interest, right? And that's lowering your ramp time, and that's making an impact to your earnings into the business in a short period of time.
I think it's interesting because I think, you've got to be prepared for an interview, right? As we've mentioned, that's both, doing your research, but maybe you can give us some advice around the actual mindset. What mindset has somebody got to go into this interview with? Obviously, you're building an agenda to help you guide you through the interview. But at the same time, what other things when it comes to mindset is it that you're really looking for this person to think about?
Yeah, it's that that fine line, right, between going and, arrogant and confident. Sometimes we call that like swagger, going in just like feel like you know your business and you know the message. I think coming prepared with the right questions, is important. And you want to make this as conversational as possible as well too. Tell your background, tell your story, where you come from, how you got here, and where you're going. And, be prepared to just not only do your own research on an employer, on a hiring manager, but knowing your business as well too. And coming in and knowing the metrics around your attainment and performance, your metrics around conversions and what your pipeline looks like, how you've sourced some of that pipeline. Is that through marketing? Is that through outbound prospecting? The why behind that. So I think that's really important, just to have a command of, the current role you're in and just knowing your business inside and out.
Yeah. So I imagine that you're also thinking, is this someone that I can put in front of my customers? And also, is this someone that I can get the best out of if they were in my team? So just tell us a little bit about what you're looking for and what someone can do to give you greater confidence that those are two particular areas that they're going to be able to tick in your book.
Yeah, no, you're right, Simon. Is that someone, I trust even internally in a meeting when I'm not in as well too, speaking just not even to external executive teams, but our own team as well too. And can they represent our company and our brand in the right way as a professional and owning our message? So, there's little tests you could probably do typically throughout the interview process just to test that. Even just someone's responsiveness and preparation. I'll typically send candidates, like text messages on off times, whether that's in the evenings or weekends. And, it's probably no surprise some of the top candidates are usually pretty responsive and get back to me pretty quickly. And I get there's a work-life balance as well too, and definitely appreciate that. But sometimes if I send someone a text on a Saturday morning and they're not getting back to me till Monday night, how are they getting back to their clients and customers as well too, and representing our business? So I think there's ways we can kind of look for and a candidate can show how responsive they're going to be and how they're going to prepare for a customer meeting. One of the motions I like to do during the interview process is actually get them to pitch our product back to us, and we'll send them a deck and we'll align them with a potential peer to help prep them. It shows highlights their drive. How much work are they putting in to prep for a pitch maybe they don't know a lot about? Are they being coachable? Are they soliciting feedback from this peer? Are they doing their own research? That checks the box for intelligence as well too. We get to check their EQ and how they pitch back. So when you think of the criteria, so much is covered in that motion. And so they actually pitch to us, and some of the best pitches I've seen, it feels like the person's almost already working at the company and they just know it that well. So if they've done, again, that level of research into a mock pitch, I feel like that person's set up, going to be set up for success and hit the ground running as soon as they join the org.
Yeah. Would you say you would treat an interview like a sales process?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, when you think of, what we look for in a sales process, and looking at the playbook and medic as well too, do you have a champion as well too? And is this someone that's going to maybe want to push you along to the next level in the process? Do you have multiple champions? Do I have other members of the team coming up to me? It's like, you got to hire this person. They keep following up with me. They're doing all this stuff. Have you articulated the right, metrics as well too around your performance and highlighting what you've done? Because if you come in with that type of discipline and you're treating an interview process like a sales process, what's the next step? Setting next meetings, what's the competition, what's that type of role? That absolutely transfers to how you run your business. That's a great question, Ollie. The short answer is yes.
As part of this process, as leaders within this playbook community, you guys are very, very focused on attributes. And so a lot of you mentioned the fact that we are constantly testing, but you're specifically designing lots of tests throughout the entire process that candidates might not even be aware that they're at those moments that they're being tested, right? And I know I'm probably revealing a lot of the kind of the secrets here, but at the same time, it's important to kind of make note of that, right?
Everything's a test. Everything from your prep email to your follow-up to your interactions with your peers. How can we test for drive? How can we test for EQ? I've had candidates in the past where I'll ask them to meet me for coffee at 6 a.m. And some candidates are like, a little early. Can we do 7 or 8? That's probably a test around maybe their drive and maybe even their intelligence, knowing what I'm testing for. I've had, other candidates where we do the 6 a.m. coffee and I show up and they're there at 5:45, with looking smart with, a blazer and a jacket on. And it's like, okay, let's go. Like, this guy's treating this like a customer meeting and sales process. So every little part of your entire interview process is absolutely a test.
Yeah. And I think one of them, and we've heard it, 'cause we've heard many of the stories from the CROs, from John McMahon's personal interviews with them. Obviously, we've heard of candidates have their CVs ripped up in front of them, people storming out the room. Why is this part of the process in there, and what's your view on that?
Probably maybe even more for a pint conversation, Ollie, but I have some good stories to share too. Maybe interviews that have gone sideways or wrong. So a lot of the time, that one piece of paper, that CV, that resume is representing your body of work. And as much as maybe it seems like a bit of a dated formality, there's a lot of time and research just put into reviewing a CV by a hiring manager. And you're probably not even getting a call back or even a foot in the door if that doesn't represent you properly. I think, candidates got to be aware, CVs are reviewed a lot more thoroughly than I think you'd expect. Your university and your school, your grades, what did you take? What was your job after that? And sometimes you don't know leaving college, right? But just understanding the why and why did you choose that job? What did you do in that job? Was there progressions? Is there attainment listed? Do you show some tenure in that job as well too? Versus you look at some of the resumes, it's 6 months here, a year here, 18 months here. It's like, well, again, looking at historicals to look at future performance, is that pattern just going to continue? When you invest in this person to join your company, you're going to spend a lot of money ramping them up. Do you get them close to ramping and then they're ready to look for the next opportunity as well too? So those resumes are absolutely inspected line by line, and that piece of paper absolutely matters. So when you talk about preparation, put your resume serious. And a lot of times today we'll lean on LinkedIn, and it's a great tool to have. You can see a lot about a candidate there, but for any candidates and hiring managers, get the resume, because a resume is a lot more telling than a LinkedIn profile.
Yeah. You've obviously spoke about a champion being a great person to leverage off. How could you potentially use a coach to your advantage?
A lot of hiring managers will introduce, a candidate to other AEs or other parts of the org, but some of the best candidates, I feel like before I've talked to them, have almost taken that initiative, connected with other people, reached out to them on LinkedIn, and not even just salespeople. I had a candidate a couple of weeks ago reach out to someone on our product team because they had a common connection and was back channeling the innovation and engineering at our company. And all of a sudden now I have people internally like, hey, what's going on with this person? I reached out to them. I really like them. So, because you're going to treat a sales cycle that way as well too. If you're just single threaded and selling to one person, guess what? Your competition is probably talking to everyone else. But if you can swarm an interview process and have coaches and champions and navigating the account, that's the exact type of motion we want to see when someone is attacking a sales cycle.
So Ryan, I suppose if you're going to leave us, leave our listeners and our viewers with some absolutely try these, what would if we were to kind of summarize and really knock them out, what would those try these be?
Yeah, I think just to break it down, Simon, it's treat an interview like a sales process, right? Do the right preparation, prepare yourself, know yourself, where you've come from, where you're at, where you want to go. Prepare for that interview, understand the hiring manager, their success criteria, what they're looking for, understand the company, what the type of role is. Are they looking for a hunter or farmer? What's that exact type of role? Set up an agenda, prepare for that first meeting, execute, lay down next steps, continue to push that interview process along, follow up and make sure absolutely there's no doubt in a hiring manager's mind, like any risk around that person. They can add value to our business day one. The best interviews I have, I leave that call excited and I want them to speak with the next person. So make sure you come with energy, bring your game and just represent your own brand and how you can make an impact to the firm.
Amazing. That was great insight. And Ryan, thank you so much for covering that topic, because we can really see that this playbook community is some of the best interviewers, some of the best recruiters in the world, and everything is a test. And I think we really take a lot from that insight. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks, Simon.
Yeah, thank you so much. We really do appreciate your insight, as Simon mentioned. And look, to all our viewers and listeners, we really do hope you've enjoyed this session. If you have liked what you've heard, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. But a big thank you to you, Ryan, taking time to talk to us, taking time to share your wisdom with the audience. And look, we look forward to welcoming our audience back for another mastery session soon. So thank you and goodbye.